and welcome to another episode of the Edo Story series, where we bring you achievements, accomplishments of the Obaseki-led administration in the last 7 years. And we have somebody here in the studio who will do justice in telling you of our own story based on the John Odige Oyegun Public Service Academy. She's one person I admire a lot in the public and civil service industry that have done so much in impacting in the lives of youths. She's none other than Mrs. Precious Imoawe Ajonu, Pioneer Director General of JOOPSA. Madam, you're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so we just go straight into it. So tell us about yourself. Just give us a brief background about yourself.
My name is Imoawe Ajonu, and I am the Pioneer Director General of the John Odige Oyegun Public Service Academy. Before joining Edo State Government, I was formerly Head Youth Engagement and Learning at JOOPSA Nigeria, where I had created a soft skills training course to upskill 5 million young people and, of course, place 3 million of them in dignified work under a MasterCard-funded project called Young Africa Works, and in our context, Young Nigeria Works. But in the last 15 years, I've dedicated my career to democratizing access to quality education. That's what I'm really passionate about.
Wow, that's a huge one. So can you tell us what gave birth to JOOPSA? When was it established? And are there any mandates of JOOPSA?
Absolutely. His Excellency Governor Godwin Nogegase Obaseki gave birth to JOOPSA. I think for His Excellency, the thinking, and he says this often, that the civil and public service is the engine of government. And if you want government to run as it should, then you must fix the engine. All of us who have cars know that if the engine of your car is not working, you're not going to go very far. Mm-hmm. So for the governor, it was to say, look, we have 6 thematic pillars, one of which is institutional reforms. How do we build institutions so where you have strong institutions as opposed to quote and unquote strong men or strong women, as it were. So for him, it was to say, look, we've done transformation, in the last 6 years of my government. How do we now put everything together? JOOPSA, in a lot of ways, talking about our mandate now, we're an enabler. So our job is to ensure that everything is tied together. I'll give an example, before I talk specifically in terms of what our mandate is. Now we're talking e-governance, we're talking paperless, to a service that was largely used to doing things the analog way. You are going to be doing them a disservice if you don't train your people. If you don't train our workers and then you come up with new technologies and new things, how do I function if I have not been trained? So the JOOPSA mandate specifically is to upskill and retool the civil and public service so that they are equipped with the skills, with the knowledge and the ability to be able to function in what the World Economic Forum calls the future of work.
And so how long, if I may ask, did it take in setting up JOOPSA?
So I was appointed in February of 2022 by His Excellency, and many people thought we would start training by the next month. But it will take until March this year, almost an entire year, for us to fully come on stream. And the reason was because we wanted to do things properly. Often when the foundation is done well, you scale very quickly. And some of the results that we're seeing, and I'll talk about that later, having trained over 5,000 people, is because we took time to operationalize properly. So instead of saying, I'm in Moahe, I studied change management, I had a first class from some university in England, and I'm just going to bring a template and then lord it over the service, that's not what we did. What we did was to first understand who are the people that manage training in the service currently, right? Where are they? What's the current system? Situation analysis. And it was super helpful. So we formed a change coalition called the Interministerial Counterpart Team, made up of everyone across all MDAs who manage training. And my thing was to say, look, this is His Excellency's vision. This is my thinking about this. What do you think? What makes sense for the service? How should we start? There's so many things that we can do. There are courses like nanotech and wearables. There's AI. But what do you think will make the most sense for the service? And then they started to give us feedback. So people were telling us things like, you need to go back to the foundation. We need to go back to the time where we had civil and public servants who were the technocrats, not the political class. So how do we go back to the time where you can do public service technical writing? where we even understand that government is a service in the first place. So we sat down, we looked at over 100 courses that we could have done, and then we prioritized 32 and hinged them to competencies. Things around trade crafts competencies, so that we can say that, yes, at the end of 2023, at least we have a critical mass of our civil and public servants that even understand project management thinking or can formulate, policies. So those are the kind of things that we focused on by working with everybody across all MDAs.
Well said. So what informed the name John Oyegun? Why John Oyegun? Why not any other name?
His Excellency decided to honor, and by extension, of course, the Edo State government, to honor one of our finest, Chief John Oyegun, from being a super permanent secretary to being a former executive governor of Edo State. Something else that I think is also important to call out here is it's not also often that we honor people whilst they're still alive. So, we feel very blessed to still have him with us and then to honor him. And it's to say that, yes, this person was dignified in the way that he handled himself, himself as a super permanent secretary. And there's a lot that we can learn from him. There's a lot that we can learn from his story. So let's build a school that honors him as we seek in some ways to return to the past whilst also honoring the future.
Okay, right. So in setting up every academy, there are target audience. In this case, in JOOPSA's case, who are the target audience?
That's a good question. The civil and public servants. But the Edo State civil and public servants primarily, however, JOOPSA is open to the Nigerian public service and by extension, the African public service. I often say this. As someone who came from the private sector into the government, now I work for government, the public sector, almost at the government sector. Think about it. If you are appointed from the private sector and you're coming into government, where do you go to learn the rudiments of government? Where do you go? Where do you go currently? You come to JOOPSA. That's our niche. So you want to get public sector knowledge primarily, you should come to JOOPSA. That's where you come to. That's where you come to learn about public policy. That's when you come to learn about, policy regulations and things like that. You come to JOOPSA. So that's really where we're focused on. So you might be working in the private sector, but your role is something like government relations. And you want to do business with government, you want to relate with government, you work for the tech sector, for example, international NGOs and things like that, and you're coming into the Nigerian market, you should come to JOOPSA and do a course with us.
Wow. I am just thinking, how do you go about getting your resource persons for the academy? I don't know.
So we have a faculty made up of industry experts, and it continues to grow. JOOPSA is only going to be as good as its faculty. So we've had people like a professor who is also a visiting professor at Yale come to take lectures at JOOPSA. We have, faculty made up of people who also lecture at places like the LBS, and they've come to take lectures at JOOPSA. And the reason why we've done it and the reason why we've adopted this model is because we want you to sit in Benin and get the same kind of education that you will get assuming you were in Washington. And it's one of the reasons why we have partnered with people like Nexford University, the American Online University, so that what our civil and public servants have access to is similar to anything anywhere else in the world.
How sustainable is this partnership? How long is it going to last for? Are there any plans on the year it's going to last for with your partners?
Yes, that's a very good question. I will say this, His Excellency said it earlier today. It started with an MOU, right? So the terms of our MOU, they like to call us a MOU government, but MOUs work. That's how you do business with the private sector. So we have it till the end of the year, but of course it's renewable. We will come back into, there's been value given on both sides. We have over 38,000 workers, across all sectors. Many of our partners are very eager to work with us because with us, they are also able to scale the options that they have. So we will renew our MOU for sure as we move along.
All right,
yes.
So you've said a lot about your various trainings. You talked about nanotechnology, you talked about AI. Are there any other trainings or programs or activities that you wish to share?
Yes. So about the nanotechnology, I had given that example to say, and we shelved that a little bit so that we can focus on what we termed foundational courses. So things like change management. A lot of changes have happened since His Excellency took office, and for some people, they're just quite, frankly, confused. But you see, it's important that people are given the tools. It's important that you teach them, what is change. It's not something that should be scary. It's something that will happen, so change can be intentional or change could just happen. But in Edo, we are saying we want to be intentional about change. So we're training our people on change management. We're training people on the fundamentals of project management, right? We do so much in government, a lot of ad hoc stuff. But how many people even take a project management approach to say, let me create a work plan, let me work on my, research metrics, let me do this thing properly. So we are saying at JOOPSA, how do we go back to the days where a public servant will write a memo and you almost will not find any grammatical error? You look at it and you say, this is a technical piece. And what's interesting about, memo writing also is it's not just writing a letter. That's not just the skill you need. And that's why we call it technical writing. It's also your ability to reason. Because in some instances, His Excellency will say advice. And you're giving advice to your governor. So you need to be able to look at it, review the facts, do research where needed, and then come up with something that is succinct. Again, you are advising an executive. So it has to be something that he can read and then take decisions that will, in many cases, affect the lives of Edo people. So it's important that for us, that we are training our people, to be able to have those skill sets so that we can deliver. And then there's, of course, also the area of digital literacy in the service, which is something that we're focused on, collaborating with ICTA and the data agency to say, how do we now get, there's still a lot of people that are very nervous about when you say, oh, there's a CBT test coming up, computer-based test, and people are panicking to say, no, I can't use a computer. We want in the next 2 years, there shouldn't be anybody who works for Edo State government that cannot use a computer. We have gone paperless since September. So you will not be able to function in Edo if you are not digital, so to speak. And our work at JOOPSA is to enable you function as you should.
All right, that's said. But I'm looking at public and civil servants in the state. Has there been any reactions by them so far? They finding it difficult, or they are just sailing, just going easy, sailing on and learning faster? So are there any challenge?
If anything was easy, all of us would do it. So no, it's a tough job. But I would say this, one of the people, and I tell my staff this, that have kept us in business, quote and unquote, are the civil and public servants. The way they have received JOOPSA, for me, it's quite extraordinary. What we are finding time and time again is that we're oversubscribed. So we say this class should have 50 people, over 100 people would register wanting to attend. So my job is to assure them that this will continue, because sometimes the thing is, let me quickly do, in case they stop it now, I would have benefited. But our job is to say that we've been established by law, we're here to stay, and this will continue. You find that people want to learn. There's something empowering about learning. I was saying this in a class, the human resources class earlier this morning. There's something empowering about learning, because that's one of the things that benefits you first before somebody else. So when you come into a JOOPSA classroom and you're taking lectures, right, you benefit first even before you go to your MDA. And the science says that once a mind has been expanded by new knowledge, it's very difficult for you to go back to how you used to do things. So for us, it's to say it's been very well received. We've trained over 5,000 workers, no mean feat. And we just look forward to 5 years of JOOPSA, where we can now start to do proper monitoring and evaluation to say, okay, how is learning happening? How are things changing? How is the mindset shifting? Before we start any training intervention at JOOPSA, we first talk about the culture change initiatives. Because for some people, yes, the governor has changed the way the offices look, but somebody was challenging me the other day that, no, leave it, I don't need AC. Just give me the money. I don't need. So you need to spend time because we cannot assume that because of all this new stuff have happened, everybody appreciates it the same. People need to understand why. And even this change, this transformation, what is in it for me? Coming from the backdrop of in Nigeria, where we are rent-seeking in how we think. So JOOPSA wants to shift perceptions. We want to shift mindsets. So we have civil and public servants who are long-term thinkers, who are planning for the next 30 years and not just today.
All right, so we have a lot of training centers, you
Yes.
know, all around the world. There is ASCON, there are others, myriads of training centers. So what makes JOOPSA unique and different from any other training center academy?
So many things make us unique. If you've come to our space, I'm sure you would even notice that we're intentionally different, you know, from how you experience our space. Many times when people come, the first thing they say is they can't believe that this is a government institution. But what makes us also unique is our niche. We're very clear in terms of how we want to play. So at JOOPSA, we are focused on public sector knowledge. So we're not another business school. We're not trying to replicate what Lagos Business School does. We're not even trying to replicate what ASCON does. We want to be the place where you come to. You've been appointed a minister in Nigeria. You come there for your onboarding to learn the rudiments of government. That's what JOOPSA is. And then secondly, how we're different is that we're leveraging technology to scale. So particularly in Edo now that we have laid fiber optics across all local governments, you don't need to leave Uguneki, you know, where I'm from, to come to Benin to come and learn. You can learn at, you know, from JOOPSA there. And by extension, other parts of the world, you know, through our learning management system. So that's our difference. We're leveraging technology, and then we are very clear on our niche, and we're focused on, you know, what our niche is.
All right, so well said. But I'm just thinking, you know, as a young person, as you are, there must be some challenges. Are there any challenges, or you just find it very easy, you know, to walk around, go about your work?
Okay, I smile a lot, so yeah, people think ooh, I'm having a good time all the time. But no, I mean, like anyone, and to say this, to leave the private sector and come to government to work, one of the things that I want everything to happen yesterday. So for me, it's like I'm in a hurry. And then, you know, my speed, sometimes I need to be mindful of where everybody else is at, because I want this to go very quickly. And again, I'm coming from a tech background. I was working in tech where we're scaling, training 5 million young people, leveraging tech, you know, that kind of thing. So I've had to now start to learn that the bureaucracy, quote and unquote, is not after me, because sometimes I just feel like it's out to get me in particular. But these systems exist to ensure that things are done properly. But it's also to say, how can we strengthen the bureaucracy, right? How can we even make it more efficient so that it works for all of us? And I think another thing will be around stakeholder management, you know, managing different interest groups, etc., etc. Can be quite stressful, I'm not going to lie, but I'm also learning. I like to say, I was saying to my mentor the other day, I'm definitely not the person who came to Edo, just in terms of, you know, patience levels are higher, and then I'm also learning as I go, so yes.
I see. Quite a number of challenges there. The program for JOOPSA, how sustainable is it? Will it outlive, you know, the present administration, or it ends with the present administration?
Oh, that would be a tragedy. If JOOPSA ends with the governor, it will be a tragedy. So I don't think it will. And how have we done it? Again, in designing JOOPSA, we could have done it differently. Outside of the service, you know, just come, you have veto power and do things. But that's not what we did. The reason we went round all the MDAs is because we wanted ownership. We wanted our people to take it and run with it. You know, and I often say that JOOPSA belongs to all of us. I'm a Bini girl, it's my own. It belongs to the other ESAM man, it belongs to everybody. Because see, if we get the public service right, if we get the civil and public service right, the multiplier effect in terms of service delivery to our citizens will be enormous. So JOOPSA has to work. So we have the interministerial group. We have a law setting us up. That's another step towards sustainability. But every time someone graces a JOOPSA classroom, and now we've had over 5,000 people come, what I often say at the end is, did you get value? And the feedback that they give is, I have so many of them. You know, the feedback has been widely positive. And so my thing is, if we have a critical mass of people, we train all our workers and they really do get value, question to our workers will be, would you allow somebody else come and then stop it? I think the answer will be no. I think the next administration will be asked, what are you going to do with JOOPSA when those debates start, you know? Yeah, you're coming, you want to do ETC, what happens to JOOPSA? Because it's not so much something that belongs to Governor Godwin Nogegase Obaseki or even Imoa for that matter. It is our school. You know, it's something that we've done that nobody else is doing. Other states are coming to come and understudy us to say, how are you doing this and what are you doing? So it's something that we should take pride in. It's a market that people are going to replicate. I promise you, in the next 5 years, you will have mini JOOPSAs in other states. So we need to use our first mover advantage well and farm it properly, own it, you know, own our space. So for me, it's something to be proud of. It's our own. It's one of the shining lights of this administration. And I don't see that our people now are just going to sit down and say, you know what, something that was benefiting me, let's stop it just because, no. No.
So the person that is making all this possible, the person of Governor Godwin Obaseki, so how will you now describe him? And what can you say about his unique administration innovations that he has brought into the state?
I think His Excellency is one of the best people that I've worked with, you know, just personally, to be honest. It's his mind. As someone who believes very strongly that we don't have a problem in Nigeria, apart from a thinking problem, that's my belief. And I've spent 15 years trying to understand this, and I still stand with what I believe. We have a thinking problem. We don't have, you know, we have abundant resources. We're not a poor country, quote and unquote. We've not just been able to think through a lot of the issues to be able to have the kind of results that we want. We don't have that with the governor. He thinks long term. I can understand how we will struggle, because when you are in a situation where people think short term, you know, what happens today, what happens tomorrow, but not thinking, oh, if I'm cutting all the trees, what happens in the next 30 years, in the next 40 years? And then you now have somebody who is investing in something like a JOOPSA. For some people, it's not important. Why are you training public servants? Use the money to go and do other things. But guess what? I don't know how many Nigerians who want to interact with government today that is excited. We're terrified of government. That's the truth. If they call you and say, oh, there's a government agency that needs to come and see you for anything, you are panicking. Is government truly a service? But this person is saying there's a reason for that, because we have the politicians come and go. The civil and public servants are the institution, they stay. So let's train them. Let's change their mindset. A mind that can conceive a thing like that is a great person. And he's different. You know, a mind that can sit down and say, I'm not planning for today. I'm even planning for a future that I might not be a part of. Because many of the gains, the trainings we're doing and all, another administration is coming to reap it. Not necessarily His Excellency's administration. But somebody that is okay with that and saying, you know what, it's not about me. It's about the next generation. I think that's the kind of person that you want to support and align with. You know, so I'm saying it not just because he's my boss, but because, you know, he's someone that all of us as Edo people should be proud of and should support, because, you know, he's thinking right. He's thinking right. I
think we can all attest to the fact that the governor is one innovator that has made a difference so far in Edo State. Do you think, or are there any unique milestone that his administration has achieved apart from this, the creation of the academy?
I think there's so many. If you look at what's happened with Edo Best, for example, and just trying to, just change the way we learn, and then make sure that our children are even learning and reducing the out of school population. I think that is that's quite something. Or what's happening with Edo Jobs, where people can sit in Benin and learn, or anywhere in Edo State for that matter, and then learn the skills that they need, and even earn in foreign currency whilst here, and working, and have government really focused on capacity building. How do we build capacity of our people? Because if you look at us, people often say that it's almost easy to spot an Edo person anywhere in the world, and it's true.
Stand out.
It's true, because we're very aspirational people, aren't we? Yes, we're very aspirational. There's a way that we are, right? So for you to come and say, I want to real channel this, so that we remove those Yahoo negatives or the things that are in the negative trajectory, and then move us from that kind of thinking to a different kind of thinking and be focused on it as a government. I think it's something that is, it's different, whether it's Edo Jobs, whether it's, Edo Best, whether it's JOOPSA, whether it's how we are connecting our cities. I think there's just innovation everywhere. And that's why change management training and all the things that we do at JOOPSA is so important, because for some people, it's too much has happened in such a short time and I almost can't keep up. So it's very important that we're also socializing our people into these new ways of working and these new ways of being, and selling them a vision and letting them know that, yes, we're not just innovating for the sake of innovation, right? We're innovating because we want to better serve the people of Edo.
Interesting. We are innovating because we want to serve Edo better. Yes. Okay, so I'm sure you want to be remembered for some legacies. So what legacies would you want to be remembered for as a pioneer of JOOPSA? Pioneer head of JOOPSA, I mean to say.
Oh, that's a good question. Have I thought it through? But they call me Disruptor General, right? Okay. So I don't think anybody in this system will forget me in a hurry. I don't think so. I came and I shook the entire place. And we are the better for it. I remember the first time, every time I want to do something, I'm told, this is not how they do it here. Some time ago, I piloted gamification, game-based learning, where, you whip out your phone and then you use it to learn. And people say, no, civil servants will not, and then we ran a course, a data analysis course, and, people had to bring their computers. They said, our civil servants are not ready. Even when I was going to partner with Nextford in June, they told me, online training, people don't do that here. But alas, they are doing it, right? And then we ran an artificial intelligence course the other day, and somebody was saying in class, is this how they do Yahoo? And I said, no, we're not training you to be able to do that, but we're training you so that we can, you can use that learning to scale output. So I think I'll be remembered for the many innovative things, that I brought. Well, I hope so, quite frankly. We'll see. But I like to think of myself as a disruptor. I think I've shaken the system quite a bit. I'm quite aware. For
many of us, we aspire to learn these things. How easy can we access JOOPSA? As we wind down in this discussion, how easy can we access JOOPSA apart from being a civil or public servant?
Just come talk to us. Just come talk to us. So for me, my model is this, and we have a website, the JOOPSA website, JOOPSA.edu State. We have social media handles, and trust me, we respond. It's so easy. We have a flat structure at JOOPSA. Everybody is important and everybody. So just come and talk to us. That's how easy it is to access it. Find us anywhere. Find us online. Find us, come to our office, talk to us, and tell us what your pain points are. And we're always, always happy to support you, especially if you have Edo extraction. Yeah.
All right. So on a lighter note, how fulfilling has this journey been for you as the head of JOOPSA?
I don't know that I've done anything that has meant this much to me. At my core, I'm just that small girl who used to follow her dad to Goneki back in the day when I was younger. And just he would tell me stories of, our kingdom, our history. And I grew up with a lot of pride in terms of who I am and what was before. You meet the average Edo person, we're very proud, aren't we? And this is what we did, and this is... So to have a role where I'm able to contribute to the advancement of a cause that is bigger than myself, I don't know of any other place that I could have been working that would have given me. And it's not about what I get paid at the end of the month. It's about the potential that I see. It's about the possibilities that I had. It's about the public servant who comes to me almost in tears to say, in the last 15 years I've been here, they don't take me for training. Another thing that we're doing at JOOPSA, and I must say this, is that we're democratizing access to learning. So you don't need to, in fact, if you've come for project management training before and they nominate you again, my system will flag it and I will tell you to go back to your MDA. Everybody this training is for all of us and it must go around all of us. And we're using technology to do that. And I've seen so many people come to say, they don't normally choose me.
So why is that?
Because we are using technology. Because now, with data analytics, you can see everybody's a number, quote and unquote. So if number 11 has come before, you shouldn't be in this class again. It's the same thing. Where's the number 12 in your MDA? That person needs to come. We call the permanent secretary, we let them know, and then they nominate somebody else. So it's democratic. You don't need to know me. I don't need to know you. You don't need to smile at me. You don't need to be nice to me. You just need to be working for Edo State government and you have access. And that's what we're doing. And for me to sit here and be, working for the government in this form, doing something that I genuinely believe that is meaningful work, it's a blessing. I'm very thankful for that.
All right. Apart from the consultancy and the training, what other thing does JOOPSA offer? Are there any other things?
That's a very good question. One of the things that we want to be going into 2024 is that bridge between the public sector and the private sector. We want to have conversations at JOOPSA. We want to bring people like His Excellency to sit at JOOPSA in a fireside chat and get somebody who's 100 level in Uniben to ask him questions. In terms of, Your Excellency, sir, what's your vision and where are you going? We want to get more young people interested in government, in this country. So we think that we can really lead debates as JOOPSA and have, some of these conversations. That's what we want to do. We want to boost peer learning. We want our public servants to go to other markets and see what's happening there, what works. We want to have hackathons. We want civil and public servants to use technology to solve problems. That in particular, I am so excited about.
Wow.
We have a digital lab at JOOPSA that we've set up. We have over 150 computers. And we want our civil and public servants to come and then code us something that solves maybe the waste management problem or that solves, deforestation problem, for example. There's so many things that we can solve, and we have the human capacity. We have people in Edo who can solve this problem. So we want JOOPSA to be an enabler, an enabler for all things good, if you like, and progressive.
I wish to be a part of this training exercise someday.
Come learn at JOOPSA.
All right, we have come to the end of this series. There is no other place that you want to be other than in Edo State, where things happen, a state that has been using data to drive, impacts in the world, and people are coming to learn from the state. So there is no other place that you want to be in other than Edo State. So that's, you have it there you've heard it from the pioneer Director General of JOOPSA herself. So until we come your way next time on another episode of the Edo Story series.